Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round.
Right hand, Golovkin steps in and down he goes again. Unbelievable. Mayweather makes him pay. What a rookie mistake. A sensational left hook by De La Hoya.
It's fact. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best. I'm going to show you how great I am.
From Southern California, this is the Last Round Podcast.
TLR episode 20. What does TLR stand for, Mike?
The last round.
It's an acronym. Should we put that on shirts, TLR, or should we just keep it the last round? You know how some people put stuff in acronyms, they're like, oh, that becomes the actual marketing aspect behind it.
Sounds good to me, Danny Z. Nice and short.
Maybe in the future. Maybe sooner than that. So this past Saturday on ESPN and ESPN Plus. So this was like a split double header. Was that what you call it? It was on ESPN and then the app, right?
Some people weren't.
Some people were confused. Did you see Twitter?
Some people didn't like it.
I mean, I don't know. I understand why they're doing it because I think they're trying to entice the crowd to start on ESPN.
You get a little taste.
And then they get a taste and then they say, oh yeah, the rest is going to be on the app. So they promote the app for people who don't know. So in terms of marketing, I understand it. But this past Saturday, February 2nd, from the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas, which is the Dallas Cowboys training facility, Sergey Kovalev is back. Who did we pick last week?
Alvarez, both of us.
We both picked Alvarez, huh? And you know what? I thought about it even before we picked Alvarez. I was like, I don't know, because even in the first fight, Kovalev was technically beating him up until he knocked him out. So I don't know, but we both picked Alvarez, and I thought about it too. I thought about it before I made my pick because Kovalev, like as I mentioned, was winning the first fight up until he got knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should go with Kovalev. But I thought, you know what? The Ward losses got to him. And then Alvarez got to him, and I thought mentally he was done.
Yeah, I agreed. You know, obviously at the time I said that I thought Kovalev was just he'd reached his peak and he was coming back down. You know, he'd obviously had all those rumors that he wasn't the best trainer. He didn't always get along with his coaches. You know, he kind of always acted like he knew better. And, you know, for so long, he was kind of the feared man in that division. He was kind of just living off that reputation.
The boogeyman.
But, you know, that loss, and then obviously going straight into the rematch with Alvarez.
Yeah.
A change of trainer to Buddy McGurk. It did him well. He came back. He looked refreshed. He came back as a boxer.
Right.
Instead of just being the guy that kind of stood there and just wanted to take you out, you know, living off that reputation. He came back and he boxed. He even got caught a couple of times. His chin looked good. Mm-hmm. He didn't just wobble like he did in the first fight. Definitely looked 10 times better, I thought, than the time before. You just kind of like standing on the outside, just boxing, just taking those shots, not letting Alvarez.
He found his form that he used to have.
Yeah, because when he was unloading on Alvarez just kind of just backed up and just kept his gloves up, and you know Kovalev would do like a 1-2, just come around the side of the gloves, you know, connect. He had him wobbled in the 10th. I thought Kovalev was going to jump on him.
I thought that was it.
Yeah, I did. I thought he was going to jump on him and try and get him out of there, but, you know, he kind of used his experience and was kind of like, you know, I'm probably 8-9 rounds up here. There's no point jumping in case, you know, because obviously we know that he's got that one-punch power, Alvarez. Right. You know, and if he'd have just thrown one, you know, just in defense and caught Kovalev, he could have taken him out.
Well, that's what happened in the first fight.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, he was clever.
He was patient.
Yeah, he was, you know, very
patient. And that
patient.
jab, man, he still has a dangerous jab, man. That jab that just snaps your head back like that.
Because he won convincingly. I had it, 10-2. Did you see
You know what? Yeah, I'm getting to that. No, because you mentioned right now it was like the 10th round. And at that point, Kovalev probably knew like, oh, you know, I'm up a lot. Yeah. You know, I'm going to just cruise control kind of here. Well, I mean, on Twitter, you know, there's a lot of people, a lot of media personalities who they'll post their score as it goes through the fight. And I understand that. But the thing that was kind of getting me confused, but I'm gonna say my criticism, but then I'll give benefit of the doubt. So let me get to that point
that's very kind of you, Danny.
I'm getting there. Well, because we understand out of anybody should understand. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially being ringside, which is the point I'm getting to. But there was a lot of prominent media personalities who had different scores. Like across the board. Yeah. And it wasn't like even they was like 116, 112 or something. Like it was like from wide to close to even. Like, and I was like, what the hell, man? Like, so what is, but you mentioned Coppinger, who's with Ring Magazine and
Fox Sports
Fox Sports now, PBC. He's one of the more prominent guys, but he had it even essentially, or it was like 115, 113 at the end. But so did Lance Pugmire of LA Times. I think.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
I think he had it pretty close too. But then there was other people. But then what I started noticing is that the people who I think weren't there and were watching it on TV, their scores were a lot different than the people at ringside. Because when I started seeing the range between these scores, I was like, okay, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, all these guys are at ringside right now, and all these guys I think are watching it on TV. I was like, that's the difference. Because I mean, this is where you got to cut the guy slack, because he did own up to it.
I think he put this morning that he was going to watch it back.
Yeah.
And rescore it.
Yeah, he did own up to it. He's like, look, I think it like the thing I didn't agree with is he said that it was a bad score, and he was like, I need to rewatch it to rescore it. And somebody called him out. He was like, how do you know it was a bad score if you haven't rewatched it yet? And he was just like, because everybody's telling me it was a bad score. So he's like, all right, well, at least he's honest. So, I'm sure he'll tweet out tonight or later on this week about it. But yeah, it was just across the board. And I mean, we've been ringside several times at fights where you only have one angle from watching the fight, and that's difficult to score a fight from that angle. That's why they put 3 judges on a fight, one on each side, right, to have different angles to see, where the action's coming from. So in a sense, the people watching on TV who have all those great camera angles from aerial views, from underneath, from the sides, that's probably the best way you can watch the fight in order to score it as objectively as you can. And
you get the benefit of the replays and the commentary.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching Tevin Farmer and was it Tira? Who did he lose to? Tevin Farmer, was it Tira Karam?
I don't remember.
In the Mandalay Bay, where he lost and everyone said it was terrible scorecard, and then the Asian fighter ended up testing positive for steroids.
I remember that. That was a pretty big deal, yeah.
I watched it ringside, and I was kind of watching it, and I was like, oh yeah, I thought Tevin Farmer lost.
Yeah.
And I was like, it seemed pretty good to me.
Right.
And then I watched it back, because everyone was like, oh, that was a terrible scorecard. So I watched it back, and I was like, oh yeah, it is a little bit closer. Because obviously, you think they connect, and when you watch it on the replays on TV, you think, oh no, you actually hit the guy's gloves.
Yeah, and I see, and I understand that. So people have to cut people slack sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like when you're ringside, it's a lot more difficult to score a fight. Mm-hmm. You don't have the camera angles in front of you. You don't have the TV in front of you most of the time. Some people have it on their phone that they're watching, which I get it. They're trying. And then you're also at the time, especially if you're writing a story, you're kind of taking notes, or you're writing your story as it goes by. There's a lot of people who do that. I do that. So. And then, Coppinger and all those guys, obviously they do that. They're writing on deadline. So I cut them some slack because, but he got a ton of heat for that. He got a ton of heat for that. And that's why I was like, at first I was like, what's the common denominator here? Or what's the difference between all these scores here? I was like, well, these guys are all ringside, and these guys I think are watching on TV. I was like, there's your difference. So, I mean, Kovalev, one-sided. Like, he beat him easily.
In my eyes, I watched from TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought 10-2.
Yeah.
To Kovalev.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's where I had it. So yeah, I think he, great performance by him. He cleaned it out. So, but, it's just like you mentioned, the Tevin Farmer fight in Mandalay Bay. You agreed after the fight, oh yeah, he lost. But then after you watch, you're like, oh, okay, now I understand. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, when I was at Ward Kovalev 1 and 2, and then 1, I know people say like, oh, Kovalev should have won that. He had a knockdown and he controlled the fight, and whatever. And there's all this hype behind Ward because of HBO, and then his love affair with Max Kellerman or whatever. It when I was at Ward Kovalev 1, I understood why they gave it to Ward, even though people were up in arms saying, no, they took that from Kovalev. Kovalev should have won that. And then I watched it back on TV when I got back home, and I was like, okay, I understand why people are up in arms about it. But being there, I understood why they gave it to Ward. I was like, okay, I could see why he won.
Mm.
So, it's difficult. I mean, we know it. So for people, our listeners or people out there who, haven't been ringside, or at least, especially when you're covering as press, it's a lot difficult. It's a lot more difficult to score it from ringside because you only have one angle, and sometimes the referee's backside is blocking you, and some cameraman on the side and everything. So, and you can't really see, and you're trying to move around. So, it is what it is. But obviously, Kovalev gains the WBO light heavyweight title back, which he had at one point.
3-time world champion now.
3-time world champion.
In the light heavyweight division.
And everybody was calling and saying that he punched his ticket to the Hall of Fame. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. I didn't think he maybe even really needed that third world title. To me, he was so feared for so many years.
Yeah.
And an avoided fighter.
Right.
He was kind of like the first generation Gennady Golovkin.
Yeah.
Of a different weight division, obviously.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
He was Gennady Golovkin before Gennady Golovkin.
Exactly. That's probably a better way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. But now it's Gennady Golovkin who is Gennady Golovkin. In a sense.
And no, that's true.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm hoping, obviously, the incident up at Big Bear doesn't spoil him, getting that third world title, because obviously at the minute they'd spoke about it before the fight, and then now they're talking about that great performance and that incident, shall we say, at Big Bear's kind of been pushed into the background.
Right.
So we'll have to see really what happens from here, because obviously he could be stripped of his title. And
I mean, he could be. It's a possibility. That's a serious thing going on.
Yeah,
and then there was an issue with, Coppinger, who I guess got banned from an event right before the fight.
Oh, it's been going on for several years, I believe.
Yeah, they've been giving him some slack or some crap like that for a while. But I guess Main Events, I kind of banned him from one of the media pressers leading up to the fight, because I think he wanted to ask questions about, the felony accusations and all that stuff. The legal problems that Kovalev had.
Credit to Mike Coppinger, because he does get some stick on social media. But, to go out there and be one of those guys that ask those questions, because, a lot of people don't ask those questions because they don't want to get banned.
Right. No, and I understand that. Yeah. I understand that. But you got to realize that somebody like him, and, these more prominent, it's just throw it out there, is that these more prominent media personalities, or writers, reporters, or something, who work for these bigger outlets have a lot more pull, have a lot more power. So if you ban them, their platform is big. They're going to write about it, and it's gonna create some type of storm. So it is what it is. It's not the same thing as banning somebody from a site or something, or some company who gets 10 hits a month in website traffic or something. You know what I mean? So
that's why they don't dare ban us, Danny.
Exactly.
The reach we have.
Exactly. You're not going to battle the last round.
No, exactly.
LTR. But I mean, he put it out there saying that they banned him again, and he's had trouble with them because he wanted to ask those questions. I understand his point of view as a reporter, as a journalist. I get it. But from Main Events and Kovalev's perspective, he's in a pending legal matter. You really think he's going to talk about it on video to a journalist or something and put it out there? And then if he's on trial, or if he gets a hearing or something, they're going to use that. And I mean, in the legal matter, I understand. Like, no, why are we going to give you that? And maybe they couldn't trust to let him in, because then he might ask about it. Like,
live on the broadcast.
Yeah. So there's two sides here. So I see both sides here. But it is what it is. Who are they going to match him up with next?
In the ring.
A third match does this deserve a rubber match? Or no? I don't think so. I don't think so, because Kovalev technically controlled the first fight until he got knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously this second fight, he controlled it again, completely, and he was a little bit more patient.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll move on and he'll fight one of the names. Like he said afterwards, he wanted more of a unification battle, and obviously with his age and stuff like that.
Didn't Bivol just sign with DAZN?
Yes. Yeah.
So is that kind of I think that's out of the question.
Oh, Beterbiev was another one.
Yeah, they asked him about him after, I think, right? So, yeah, I think that could be the following matchup, him and Beterbiev.
Do you think that people will even start shouting for an Andre Ward 3?
Or Gilberto Ramirez.
That was one that was spoken about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's just moving up, isn't he?
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I think Kovalev wipes the floor with him, especially after this performance.
I think he's going to try and probably look for the one with the biggest money. Being at his age now, he's probably got what they were saying, 2 or 3 fights I heard people saying before he maybe retires. It's a stacked division.
Yeah.
So if I was him, I would just be looking at the ones that pay me the most money.
Yeah, I understand.
Show me the money.
Yeah. So I mean, you got Bivol, Beterbiev, Ramirez. Who else is up there? Badu Jack, technically, and those guys. DeGale. No, DeGale's still at 168.
Mm-hmm. See, Badu Jack, I think he's looking like he might be done.
Yeah. He's 35, 36 years old.
I think he'll chase the belts. He'll chase, legacy and money for his last 2 or 3 fights. So we'll see.
But I mean, it is what it is. And even Alvarez, even though he got shut out, like it's only his first loss, so I think he's still going to get some pretty decent competition because he obviously shows that he has the power and stuff like that, like especially after the first fight. So I think Alvarez, even though he lost, I think he's still going to be able to get some decent fights, some decent paydays here.
Because Kovalev, another one, obviously the other belt holder in that division is the Nail.
That's true.
And they used to train up at Oxnard together.
Yeah, I could see
so
that.
So that should be easy to make.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty crazy fight.
They know each other.
That'd be a crazy fight. So congrats to Kovalev. Is he back? Is the Boogeyman back? He
was back for that one fight.
Can we say it yet?
I think it's one of those sayings. It's Kovalev v. Kovalev.
Yeah,
it's the training camp, his belief, his mentality. If he doesn't get too big-headed, if he listens, keeps strict, and listens to Buddy McGirt, who I thought was giving him great insight.
He was doing good
in the corner.
Yeah, I appreciated that. Yeah,
it really was. Like master and student. Teacher and student in that corner. So just keep doing that, and I think some of those bigger fights, I think Kovalev would actually go in his favorite.
Yeah.
Just stick to his boxing.
Especially after a performance like that. So, moving on, that same card, Richard Comey is now in line to fight Vasyl Lomachenko in April at the Staples Center out here in Los Angeles after he defeats Isa Chaniev. I'm trying to remember how they pronounced it. Do you remember?
I think it was Chaniev.
Chaniev for the vacant IBF World Lightweight title. Chaniev went down in round 1 and twice in round 2. So that was a pretty big indication early on that Comey was on his way to a victory pretty quick.
Comey went in there and took charge straight away. He had that. It was kind of like an odd combination of he throw that left hook, and before that kind of left hook had even really landed, he'd follow it up with a straight right down the pipe.
Right.
But he kind of like threw them both at the same time. Like he let one go, and half a second later, the right hand was following him behind.
Yeah.
Chaniev just.
It was almost like he wanted to do it at the same time.
Yeah, it was so strange to look at, but it was effective because Chaniev, he didn't see it coming. And very early on, you could see, Comey's got this. It's a matter of when he's going to knock him out.
He's a pretty big guy, too.
Yeah, he was good. He throws a lot of punches. He's active. And, I think, the Vasyl Lomachenko fight, there's levels to this game.
Yeah.
I see Lomachenko winning that fight, but I think Comey's going to make it a good fight.
Yeah. I don't think Lomachenko stops him.
I kind of feel for Comey because, he gets that world title and then are they going to give him a fight in between?
Yeah,
are they going to feed him straight
to
Vasyl
they're just going to feed him. They're just going to feed him. And I think it was kind of ironic when they announced before, oh, yeah, the winner of this is going to fight Lomachenko in April at Staples Center.
I thought he'd been ordered to fight Anthony Crawler, though, for the WBA.
Step aside money, man.
Over in the UK.
Step aside money, or they paid the sanctioning body to move somebody up in the rankings. Remember a previous guest we had, and I'm not going to say their name, but remember a previous guest we had told us some stuff from behind the scenes, which we already kind of knew, but, I've heard that from other people, but he told some stuff behind the scenes. He's like, oh, yeah, it's prevalent. So, but yeah, he's fighting Lomachenko in April. He gets a payday. He gets a payday. Going to be on ESPN at Staples Center. Staples Center is a 20,000 seat arena, which I don't think they're going to come close to selling out.
Really?
For Lomachenko and
if they stack the undercard.
Well, yeah.
I would definitely try and go. I've seen Vasily Lomachenko train, but I would love to see him in person fight.
Yeah, but I just don't think they're going to come close to 20,000. That undercard is going to have to be really, really good.
To be fair, Vasily Lomachenko has been fighting at the MSG, but he's been fighting in the small arena, right?
Yeah, he hasn't fought. I don't think he
hasn't filled out the main.
Not the main one. I don't think he has.
No,
it's the theater. Right. He's been fighting at the theater at MSG. So Staples Center is 20,000 seats, and I don't know. That's going to be tough. Like they're going to have to throw, you got to throw like a Lomachenko Mikey to fill a Staples Center.
Stick in some local guys on the undercard, to stack it out.
Yeah, obviously Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is going to probably be on there, likely. Actually, 99%.
Get local guy, Valdez,
yeah.
Oscar Valdez.
That's a pretty quick turnaround for him. I don't know, but we'll see. But, their undercard is going to have to be really good. And even then, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think Lomachenko's name is heavy enough to pull 20,000 seats. But, Comey gets the IBF World Lightweight title, and now it's essentially confirmed that he's fighting Vasily Lomachenko unification fight.
It sounded like it, yeah.
In April. Out here at Staples Center. So unification fight, they needed Loma needed somebody. I mean, he's running out of opponents because, the cross promotional lines. It's just they needed somebody, and at least with this, they can sell unification fight. Like, oh, okay, well, it's a unification fight. So I mean, they weren't going to put Comey in there or one of them without a belt just to get a shot at Lomachenko. Like the unification title matchup adds something more to the event. Like, oh, well, it's a unified matchup, so it is what it is. But good luck to Comey, but everybody knows what type of fighter Lomachenko is. So and then moving on, Oscar Valdez returns for the first time under Eddie Reynoso, Canelo's trainer, the Reynosos, and gets the stoppage in round 7 over Carmine Tomasone, the Italian, remember? The Italian.
He's not Mexican.
He's not Mexican. The Italian. I thought Valdez looked good. I thought he looked great.
I thought Valdez looked good. I thought Tomasone came in and with the completely wrong game plan. He tried to go to war.
Yeah.
He literally tried to fight Oscar Valdez at Oscar Valdez's game when he's not on the same level.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's why he went. That's why he went down multiple times.
Yeah, he went down multiple times. He probably could have been stopped a little bit earlier than it was. Good fight back for Valdez, having nearly 12 months out of the ring.
Was it 12 months or was it?
It was like nearly 11. Okay. Nearly 11 months after breaking his jaw against Scott Quigg. So it was good. Just to get back in there. I can imagine, mentally, you want to know whether the jaw can stand up to,
Hey, he did his thing.
Those 8-ounce gloves, get him, punched on the chin. So it'd be good. I'm more interested to see where Valdez goes from here. We kind of talked before. We'd love to see him in some of those big fights, against Josh Warrington, Carl Frampton, even maybe a local one against...
I could see Frampton or Warrington as his next opponents.
I mean, it'd be a love unification fight, the WBO champ against the IBF.
Yeah, I could see that.
That'd be great. I'd love that for that to be over here.
Yeah.
Local fight.
I could see it. Yeah, I could see it. So, but congrats to him because that jaw he suffered almost a year ago against Quigg was nasty.
Yeah.
So and even then I thought, man, he's gonna be out for over a year, but no, he wasn't. He came back just under the year, and
it just kind of sucked because Scott Quigg didn't make weight, and then he still agreed to fight him.
Yeah, and the guy was heavy, like so heavy.
Yeah, like so much. I think he was like several pounds over the weight limit.
Yeah, that's why he broke his jaw.
Yeah, so it kind of sucks when you think he did the right thing for the fans.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, but he's back. He retains his WBO World Featherweight title. Like we said, Tomasone was down multiple times from round 4 to round 7. So let's see where Valdez goes from here, especially under Eddie Reynoso, which I like that pairing a lot. Mm-hmm. I like that pairing a lot. I think Reynoso is the perfect guy to get something different out of him. So I like it. I like it. And then, he's training there with Canelo, one of the best boxers in the world right now. And I'm sure they're giving each other tips and everything. I think it's great. So
just some more footwork, a little bit of a better defense.
Yeah.
Just to prolong his career. He likes to go to war a lot, and obviously we're so short in his career, getting injuries, broken jaws, constantly getting punched in the head.
Yeah.
Obviously not good for you. So I think some defense, some footwork, get in and out of the pocket more.
Right.
Which hopefully, someone like Canelo has got a pretty good defense.
Oh yeah.
I think it's underrated.
Yeah, and I'm sure they've talked about it. He's going to teach him some stuff over the time that he's obviously there. So I think it's great pairing. I think it's great. So I'll favor him just because he changed trainers and stuff. I'll favor him in a lot of fights now. I mean, I've always liked him. I'd probably favor him anyways, but I think that was a good move for his career. And then moving on, prospect of the year for us, for the last round, for ESPN, for a lot of different outlets in 2018. Teofimo Lopez improves to 12-0 with 12 KOs. All 12 have been stoppages or knockouts after he stops Diego Magdaleno in the 7th round with, it was 2 back-to-back left hooks. It was kind of like slow motion. He got him with one, and then he kind of just like looks at him for it feels like 10 seconds, and he's like, oh, you're not down yet? Boom. It was like 2 back-to-back left hooks. They were nasty, too. Especially that last one. It was just like, oh, you're not down? Bam.
Yet again, stole the show.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I think they stick him on the undercard lately, he just literally has just been in there. Either his celebration, the knockouts, he just
his
somehow
backflip,
always steals the show.
But
I thought it was a good performance against, he's had 12 fights. He's in there with Magdaleno, who's in there with 34 fights.
Yeah.
I think that's the second opponent that he's fought who's had over 30 victories.
Yeah.
Definitely he looks light years ahead of other people who've had those amounts of fights than him.
Right.
One of the reasons we picked him for Prospect of the Year. I just think he's got everything, really. He's good on the mic. You could see from early on, he's very, very comfortable. Diego Magdaleno was trying to draw him into a war.
Yeah.
And he kind of touched on that at the end that, he thought to himself, no, you know what? I'm not going to go in there and, fight his game. He just stood on the outside and boxed. He looked quick. I thought his counterattacks were really good. He picks his punches really well. He didn't let Diego Magdaleno just try and, outmuscle him, outman him, because obviously, there's a big age gap between them. Teofimo also seems to be filling out. He's got a lot more power. Like you just touched on in those 2 left hooks at the end. They were
nasty.
Devastating knockouts.
That was nasty.
I think maybe the only thing at the end, it was kind of funny that he kind of stood over him and did that little thing with like.
Well, that's what I wanted to get to, is that.
But it was disrespectful at the same time.
And I understand. Okay, that's what I wanted to get to, because I think this is an interesting and it's an intriguing topic, especially since it just happened, and then on the boxing universe, Twitter, social media, people are obviously talking about it. He did his dance right after he knocked him down. He did his dance. Then he did his backflip, and then he goes over and does the home run swing right above him, where he's kind of like, it's gone. I was watching it live, and I didn't mind it, but I get it, like in terms of like popular, in terms of like role model and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's not sportsmanlike, but at the end of the day, these promoters want these guys to have personality. These guys. Look at all the successful guys over the years. They've all had something, villains, Mayweather. Look at Broner's a prime example. All the stuff Broner says, and like people still tune in to watch him because they want to either cheer for him or they want to like watch him lose. So, I get it. But what the funny thing is that, people were like tweeting after on Twitter and some other social media, saying, oh, that was disrespectful of him. He shouldn't have done that. Like, he should have just took the win and, whatever. And obviously it got to Teofimo Lopez. I don't know if you saw it because he removed it. And I'm sure Top Rank told him to remove it. Mm-hmm. But he tweeted out today where he called out all those people who were saying, hey, that was unsportsmanlike, that was disrespectful. Where he defended it, he was like, nah. He's like, Magdaleno had disrespected me. He's like, don't disrespect somebody if you don't want to get disrespected. It was something like that. I'm paraphrasing because it was a pretty long paragraph tweet. Pretty much where he was defending, like, yeah, I'd do it again. Like, don't disrespect me. I'll do it again. Well, I looked just about an hour or two ago, and I don't think it's not on there anymore. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe it was like a glitch or something. but it's not on there anymore. And I'm pretty sure Top Rank told him, "Hey, you got to take this off," because Top Rank is one of those like, I mean, all promotions are, but like Top Rank, I think they did that with Shakur Stevenson at one point, where Shakur Stevenson was like tweeting some stuff. I think him and like Clarissa Shields were
going back and forth
or something, and it wasn't within a couple hours. He removed it. He took him down. I mean, there's a pattern here. Like he fights under Top Rank too. Bob Arum is old school. He wants people to have personality, and but I'm pretty sure Top Rank told him, "Hey, take that down. That makes you look stupid." So I thought it was hilarious. Like, if I ever get a chance to get Teofimo Lopez on the show or talk to him, I'm like, "Hey, so why'd you take the tweet down?" I'm sure somebody's gonna ask him. I'm sure, and I could be wrong, but I was trying to find it earlier and I couldn't find it, but I saw it earlier today. So I'm sure like I said, Top Rank jumped in and were like, "Hey, take that down," and he was like, "Oh, all right, well," and he took it down. So, but he was defending it. So just because he took it down, I mean, are we going to see an apology? Is Top Rank going to make him do an apology or no?
Well, you could see his brother, Jesse Magdaleno. He wasn't happy.
He wanted to come in there and fight.
Him and his corner tried to get over to Teofimo Lopez, but it's one of those things where, some people are going to find it funny that he did that. Other people are going to find it disrespectful. But at the end of the day, you're going to watch it.
Oh yeah, he just helped his stock. It doesn't matter if you hated watching that or you loved it. You know who he is and you remembered him. And I'm not saying I'm not encouraging it or stuff like that. But the name of the game is in any sport, especially boxing and UFC, is to make money. Look at McGregor and all that stuff. Look at all this crap he says. But he freaking sells out arenas and sells millions of pay-per-views. Exactly. All these guys have personality. And they all mostly talk crap. Like, so, and from a business standpoint, Top Rank's probably like, "Oh, well, we appreciate it, but we're not going to say it." Like, and I get it. I understand PR. I completely understand. But,
it was like when Conor McGregor did the thing where he got the cart and threw it at the bus.
Yeah.
The UFC
you don't think that was planned? That was planned.
The UFC was so against that they put that on the UFC embedded series.
Yeah, the series they put on YouTube, they put it on there.
They put it on there. You think to yourself, you don't want people to see this. You want to get this out of the press.
Yeah, you're saying. I remember Dana White said like, "Oh, this is a black eye on our company," and something. He said something like that, and then they promoted it. Like, exactly. Come on, man! Like you're gonna, it's a. I don't know. Whatever, man. Like his. I get it. It was unsportsmanlike, the whole thing, going up to a down opponent. I'm not saying I agree with that, but in terms of a business aspect, people know who he is. They're talking about him. His that just built his stock. You really think that if he did that, like knocked the guy out and then just stopped, didn't do any dance or anything, and just did the interview or something, like, yeah, people would have still talked about him, but he's getting a lot more attention right now because of that little gesture. So, I understand. I understand he shouldn't have done it. But in terms of a business...
Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect.
It really was,
It really was.
You either love him or you hate him, like you touched on. Like, it's the same with Conor McGregor. It's the same with Floyd Mayweather. But you're going to tune in. You're going to tune
Broner.
in to see him him win. Or you're going to tune in because you hope that he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah. So
But the rumors are Teofimo will be back out April the 20th.
He wants Lomachenko too.
On the undercard of Terence Crawford, Amir Khan on ESPN pay-per-view. And
I wouldn't be surprised if they switch him over to Lomachenko's card.
I'm hearing Jose Pedraza.
That's soon, really?
On his next opponent. But we'll see. That's the rumor, because obviously, I think last year that's what they were talking about. Diego Magdaleno, Jose Pedraza, and then TBA, the dreaded TBA. I think
it's undefeated, by the way.
It's too early for Lomachenko. I don't see them fighting in 2019.
Especially since they're both top rank.
Exactly. Maybe not even 2020.
No, I don't even think 2020. Not at all.
No, I think it's too early.
2021 is the closest, I would say.
A unification bout maybe down the line if they both have belts and the money is so big.
Yeah.
But it's too early right now.
No. He's not going to be near that. They're not going to put them together at all. But I understand that. I wouldn't put him near Lomachenko at all right now either.
No.
So moving on, fight previews this Saturday. I'm not going to call it what it is now. I'm going even before. The Home Depot Center, formerly the Home Depot Center, which turned into the StubHub Center, and now it is called the Dignity Health Sports Park. I'm just so sad when I say that.
It just rolls off the tongue so nice, that Danny Z.
I hate it. It's always going to be, some people like the Home Depot Center, what it was called before the StubHub Center, or some people like the StubHub. Me, I'll probably still call it the StubHub Center. It's going to take me a while to adapt to this new name. But on Showtime, Gervonta Davis puts up his WBA Super World Featherweight title against Hugo Ruiz.
If he makes weight.
And yes, Abner Mares had to pull out of the fight because he has a detached retina. I don't know, man. I think that's a career ender right there. He's had problems with his eyes before.
Kell Brook had 2, Triple G, and then
Errol
Spence.
That's tough.
He's never been the same.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's a tough injury. And I'm pretty sure both of us would have picked Davis to beat Mares. He's just a bigger guy, and Mares was moving up in weight. It was intriguing because they're both names. They're both former world champions, and you got to give credit to Mares. He was waiting to move up. And then, he ended up pulling out of the fight, and they had to find somebody. And then we found out it was a detached retina from his eye that he got during sparring. And it's like, that sucks. So former world champ Hugo Ruiz comes in to take his spot. I mean, yeah, you can criticize anything you want, but can you really criticize this card? Like, people are saying, oh, come on, Hugo Ruiz, come on. Like, they had a week. To find somebody. Yeah. And at least Ruiz is a former world champ.
Yeah, he's a former world champion. He's 39-4, 33 KOs. So he's, on paper, not a bad record. He recently fought on the Manny Pacquiao, Adrian Broner card, January the 19th.
Yeah, so he just fought.
And that was a 10-round decision. So it's not as if he went in there, had a one-round blowout, and then he's back out. So he's only recently just moved up to featherweight.
Yeah, recent move.
That was his first fight, I believe, at the Manny Pacquiao, Adrian Broner card. So I'm hoping that Hugo Ruiz comes in there and just thinks to himself, you know what, Broner's not ready for me. He was
Davis.
Davis is not ready for me. He was obviously expecting to fight Mares, and he believes he can win. I hope he doesn't go in there and just, think to himself, you know what, I'm just going to try to protect myself.
You never
know. Get a nice little payday and go home.
Maybe.
I'm hoping he goes in there and makes a fight of it, since he's a short notice replacement. Because he may never get this chance again to go in there and fight for
probably not.
Another world title. So,
I mean, whatever, it is what it is, but that sucks though, because like a couple days before, I think Mares had to pull out of the fight. I saw online that they opened up the higher section at the StubHub Center because their tickets were selling well. So they're like, okay, let's open up the higher sections. Like, oh, well, that's good news. And then a couple days later, Mares has to pull out and like, oh, well, I guess you're going to offer some refunds. I want to know how many people got their refunds.
It'd be interesting, especially with the card that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
That's a strong card. So you got 2 strong cards in California, not too far apart in terms of distance.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
On the same day.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine some people, like turning in the card for the Mares fight.
Yeah, and they're going to go to the other card.
Come to the card of the Fantasy Spring.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's already happened. So, moving on, I'm picking Davis. I think he's going to stop him.
Davis stoppage.
6th.
Whenever Davis decides to stop him, I think he's.
I say 6th.
I think he's going to be too big, too strong. Davis, I imagine, was probably taking the fight very seriously in the build-up because Mares was a live opponent.
Yeah.
So he's going to come in, I think, in good condition. It's an actually lose-lose for Davis because everyone's thinking Davis is going to win by knockout. So he has to go in there, I think, and blow him out. Because if he doesn't, people are going to be like, well,
maybe you're not.
Davis struggled. Maybe he's not what he thinks he is. He's another Mayweather type of promotion guy.
Oh, he's getting the Broner effect.
Exactly. He's friends with Broner.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see how that goes. And also on that card, really quick, Erickson Lubin is back versus Ishe Smith. Ishe Smith is still with Mayweather Promotions, I think. And Lubin's only one loss was against Charlo, right?
That early blowout.
That really blowout. So we'll see how that fight turns out. So hopefully that's a pretty action-packed fight. Ishe Smith, 29-10. Man, he's in Gabe Rosado territory now with 10 losses.
Yeah, he's actually had a couple of fights recently. Didn't look too bad. The Julian Williams fight.
Yeah, J-Rock.
That was a good fight for him. Very close. Williams, J-Rock got the decision that day. So I think he's in that status now where this is like last chance saloon.
Yeah.
Like you just touched on with the 29-10. So
yeah, the last round.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is the last round for for Ishe Smith. And then, like you said, like we touched on earlier, same day, this Saturday, Golden Boy card on DAZN from the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California.
We'll be there.
We will be there. So if you're going to be at the Golden Boy fights in Indio at the Fantasy Springs Casino, look out for us. Come say hi. Come say hi to the last round crew. Multiple world title fights on here. Ray Vargas puts on his super bantamweight WBC world title against Franklin Manzanilla. Vargas is just a ridiculously tall guy for 122.
Unbelievable how he makes weight.
I don't get it, but it's working for him. He's got a title. He's making some decent paydays with these defenses. Hey,
yeah.
Well, what are you supposed to do? I'm not mad at it. I get it. So Ray Vargas 32-0. Manzanilla 18-4. I'm picking Vargas just because of his size, man.
Yeah, Vargas has been out, hasn't fought since May last year. This is kind of because of a shoulder injury, and then he was going to come back, and he caught pneumonia. So this is kind of, I think, a fight just to get him back out there.
Yeah.
It's not like a mandatory challenger or anything like that. This is a voluntary. So I think it's somebody they've picked just to, try and get rid of the ring rust before he has a bigger fight later down the line. I agree. I think Vargas will be too big, too live, too strong. And I think he'll stop him in the middle rounds.
Yeah. It's a big guy, man. Big guy. Like when he fought, when he fought, God, who did he fight?
As that Hovanesian?
Was it? And then they were doing the face off, and he just towered over him, man. It was just like, oh man. But even that fight was kind of entertaining. Hovanesian.
Yeah, Vargas actually, even when he fought like Oscar Negrete, like he goes in for a war.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to.
He does it.
Use his size and his reach as much as he should do.
He does
His fight should be like a boring Klitschko's fight.
Yeah.
Because he has those qualities to just keep them off with the jab, but he seems to get drawn into a war now and again.
So, hopefully it's exciting. So, I'm looking forward to it. And then second world title fight of the night, 2 world title fights. This is great.
This is a good card.
It's a good card.
Good card.
WBA super featherweight champion Alberto Machado puts on the line his title against Andrew Cancio, who's 19-4-2. Machado, I think Machado's gonna have to fight somebody after this, like legitimately. I
agree. This is his third defense.
Step up, and he's a world champion. Like, come on.
This is his third defense of his title. 21-0, 17 KOs. Southpaw from Puerto Rico. Trained by Hall of Famer Freddie Roach.
Yeah,
everybody knows. Last time out, first round knockout. It was October 27th, I believe, last year. Kind of easy work for him. And like you just touched on, I think he's had a couple of soft touches. And I think now he's going to have to step up and get some real names on his resume. This should be a good fight. Both of them, Machado and Cancio, come to fight. This should be a bit of a war. But same again, I'm going to go with the champion. I think Machado. I think this will be, at a late stoppage, round 8, round 9. Because Cancio's a real warrior. He can take some good shots. If you live in this local area, you'll probably know his name. He always pops up on cards at Fantasy Springs.
Yeah, he's all over
places
the place
like that. So it'd be good to see, those, Ray Vargas, Jojo Diaz, and Machado just at Fantasy Springs, local for all those guys.
Good card on DAZN.
Yeah, on DAZN. So this is a really good card. But
yeah, I like it, and we will be there, like we mentioned. You're going Machado? Forget it. I'm going Cancio. I'm doing it.
Oh, really?
I'm doing it, man. Because this time, like I mentioned last week, Kovalev, I was like, should I go Kovalev? It's like, nah, forget it. I'm going Alvarez. You know what? This time, I'm going the opposite. Cancio.
I would get some money on that. I think you'd get good odds.
I should start betting. I never bet, but I should start betting because I'm just like, damn. Every time I win, I'm like, I knew I could have won. But you kind of you gotta get nervous, especially in Vegas. It's just like, damn it. But moving on, like you mentioned, Jojo Diaz is also on that card, 27-1, going up against Charles Huerta. This is actually a pretty good matchup.
The friends, obviously, 2 weeks ago, I went to watch Lee Selby training, and he was sparring with Charles Huerta, and I was kind of talking to him about the fight. And he said, the friends, they've trained a lot together, sparred a lot together, so there's, it's going to be kind of like just a professional. Like,
yeah.
Hey, this is just work. There's no bad blood between them. I think, there's always levels to the game, and, that old saying everyone likes to come out with. I think Jojo Diaz is levels above Charles Huerta. He's kind of one-dimensional, really old school, like Mexican style. He just wants to walk you down. Jojo Diaz, a former 2012 U.S. Olympian. This is a comeback fight for him because last year, he stepped up, fought Gary Russell Jr., actually gave quite a good showing of himself.
Yeah, I think he still did good even though he lost. Like, yeah, obviously Gary Russell beat him and deal. There wasn't any dispute about that. But Diaz still looked good. I think he still got in what he needed to get in, but he just didn't get the W.
And then, this is his first fight up at 130 pounds now.
Yeah, from 126 to 130.
So he's moved up to, just get out there, see how he feels at 130. And then it'd be interesting because obviously, he's on this card, Machado's on this card. So is this something they're trying to put into the...
That's what I'm thinking.
You're thinking that this is something they're trying to put into the fans' mind, so later down the line, they're going to match those two up. I think you could be right there, Danny Z. I think you could. That's an interesting fight. That's a fight I would like to see.
I can see it.
I think Jojo will look good at that weight division.
I don't know, but I think Jojo said that he can't really make 126 anymore.
He struggled. It was not when he fought Gary Russell, but the fight before when he fought, was it Jesus Rojas?
I think
he
so.
missed weight.
Yeah, he had trouble.
He missed weight when he fought Jesus Rojas. He's 26 now, so he's probably filling out into his man strength, as they say. So, but he's only got that one loss on his record against a proven world champion. So
Russell Jr.
And like we said, he actually looked good in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he beats Charles Huerta. I think that's another late stoppage as well.
I don't think he stops him.
You don't think so?
No.
I think he's
Jojo Diaz isn't really a stopper.
But I think Charles Huerta's style of just literally being very robotic, just kind of like trying to walk you down, I think that's going to give Jojo the chance just to pop in around the side, body work, and I think he finished him with a body shot.
All right. I'm going Diaz, but I don't think he stops him. I think it goes decision.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I think it goes decision. So moving on, Sunday we got a Sunday card too on ESPN Plus, which is the app from the Save Mart Center in Fresno, California, where all the farmers are at over here in California.
They're getting plenty of water.
Oh yeah, they're getting plenty of water with the rains happening over here. It's not always sunny in Los Angeles, people, or even in California in general, but has been rain the last couple of days, which sucks. But whatever, we're complaining, and there's snow in the East Coast, and they're freezing. So they had to on the train tracks over there in the East Coast. They had to light the train tracks on fire.
I saw that. Yeah, that was
because
crazy.
they were frozen just in order for the trains to keep moving. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah, not even back home in England do we do that.
Not back home in England. We got to do a show out there one day. It's coming. Maybe this year. ESPN Plus. Jose Ramirez puts his WBC super lightweight title on the line against Jose Chon Cepeda, who we were trying to get on the show the last couple of weeks, but some scheduling issues with his training and stuff like that came into play. I'm talking about Chon Cepeda, who's 30-1 against Jose Ramirez, 23-0. I like this fight.
It's a good fight. Ramirez's second fight with head trainer Robert Garcia. Obviously, his first fight was against Antonio Orozco, and it was kind of one-sided, but an exciting fight.
It was exciting, though.
Yeah, it was. It'd be good to see him, good in this time with a southpaw in Zepeda. This is his second world title fight. He fought, I think it was Terry Flanagan.
Yeah.
Over in England a few years ago. He's unbeaten in 8 consecutive fights.
I like this fight. It's intriguing.
You know what? I might do what you did. I'm thinking Zepeda might shock him.
I think so. And then, for our fans who have been listening to our past shows and, following us, we appreciate that. When we had Andy, the performance coach for Leo Santa Cruz, when he was on here, he's also the performance coach for Chon Cepeda. So I don't know if you remember that, but that was his list of his clients. So, obviously this guy should be in shape and his conditioning should be top notch. So I like Ramirez too. He could fight. I like him, and it's not that I'm counting him out, but I like Zepeda. I'm going with Zepeda.
I'm going to go with Zepeda as well. I just think that Ramirez has had a lot of fights. I feel that because he draws such a crowd in Fresno, I feel that they've kind of protected him a little bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And because they've been making so much money up in Fresno. He's been getting constantly sellout crowds. He does a lot of stuff in the local area for the public service. A lot of stuff for the farmers, stuff like that. So I think going in there and fighting a hard-hitting southpaw, I think he may get shocked. And also Zepeda's, he's no chump. He's had 30 fights, only one loss. He's been in there with Terry Flanagan, so he's not going to go in there and be overawed by the occasion. Even though he's fighting Ramirez in Ramirez's backyard.
Yeah.
He's going to go in there. I've been following him on social media, been watching him. He's been training for a while. He looks fit. And I honestly think he's going to fit. I think he's going to another one with a body shot.
I think so.
I think it's going to be a shock.
I think so, man.
We could be rich this weekend.
I think, man, we still have time to place bets.
This could be the last show.
This could be the last round. This could be the last round. You never know. Officially the last round.
If you don't hear from us again, that's because just follow us and we're going to be over.
What a way to fly into the sunset.
Yeah.
This is the last round. And then also on that card, former world champion at 135, Raimundo Beltran, goes up against Hiroki Okada. Undefeated Hiroki Okada, 19-0. I mean, what? I mean, are they going to try to get Beltran to fight, if he wins, to fight Ramirez, or the winner of Ramirez Zepeda to move up to 140, or what? I mean, he had the belt at 135. He lost it to Pedraza. Now he's back on the card or whatever. Like, because I think that fight's at 140, isn't it?
Yeah, he's moved up to 140 after she losing his title to.
Yeah, so they're. Mm-hmm. I think they're preparing it, right? Like, oh yeah, well, Beltran, I guarantee you they'll ask him, like, hey, the main event tonight, Ramirez versus Zepeda, you're both at 140, you're all at 140 now. Do you want the winner? Oh yeah. Oh, how convenient. They're all top rank.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, he's been a really good servant to Top Rank for a while. You could see that they were trying to get Raimundo Beltran a world title because he had that.
Yeah, I thought it was a great story.
He had that Coming to America story.
Yeah,
that
great movie,
likes.
by the way, Eddie Murphy. Coming to America.
I think that, they're going to try and feed him a couple of fights to make him look good, and then he can pass the baton to either any of the Top Rank up-and-coming rising stars. If he'd have stayed at 135, I actually thought a good fight for that would have been Teofimo Lopez.
It still could be if he could make it.
But
he'd be a good name on the resume.
Exactly, because it's a big name on his resume, that Teofimo,
But Pedraza would be a better name.
Exactly. But they're all Top Rank.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking to myself, Teofimo's on the rise. Beltran's kind of like coming down a little bit. Are they going to, try and get them a couple of fights, put them on the same card? But then they threw the curveball in of him moving up to 140. And I think at the minute, that's a little step too far for Teofimo. In the future, he's talked about going up to 140 and maybe even 147 for the right fights.
Right.
But at the minute, he's still too young and, he's the right weight.
They got time. Time on
I think you're right. I think it's down the line. It's going to be a fight for.
I guarantee you, they'll ask Beltran if he gets a in-ring post-fight or whoever the winner is. Hey, the main event, also 140. Would you want a shot at them? They're going to plant the seed.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's in-house. They keep that money in-house.
I mean, I get it, but it's just like how convenient. How convenient. I'm going Zepeda though. I keep sticking to that point.
Exactly, because if it ends up going, Ramirez, that's another big fight against kind of a name in Beltran, up in Fresno. Another sellout crowd.
Yep. Up in Fresno.
So
Fresno's getting those fights. They better hope Ramirez wins because they're going to lose some fights if he doesn't win.
Yeah, and they're sellouts as well.
He sells out those buildings. So
Top Rank, they're doing well up there. That's why
they better hope Ramirez wins.
Exactly.
Because if they don't, they're going to lose some fights.
That's why I went against him, because I was kind of thinking he's kind of had like man-made fights for him.
Yeah.
To make him look good, to build that resume. So.
But I like Ramirez though. I think he could fight, but they need to fight. He needs to fight somebody. But we'll see. And then like I said, it's a pretty stacked weekend of fights. It keeps happening. Saturday, Sunday, we never have Sunday fights anymore. Or we never really rarely have Sunday fights. And we've been having them a lot the last few months. So, yeah, Showtime on Saturday. DAZN also on Saturday. And then ESPN on Sunday. So, it's going to be a pretty busy weekend of fights.
Yeah, it's every weekend now. Like we kind of say, like every show, we come on and there's always fights to talk about. There's
never ends.
There's never a quiet week where we're not, got a big card or a couple of big cards to really talk about.
Yeah. Hey, what about our shirts? Our shirts coming down the pipe or what?
Yeah, the should be finished, I think, this week or next week.
Oh, I hope
They've
so.
They've taken a while just because of a change of design.
Anticipation is killing me, man.
Exactly, but you got to wait for quality.
Yeah, I guess.
I didn't want to just get them printed.
I guess.
And then just put them out there.
They're coming. They're coming. And we'll put them out there so you guys can see.
There was a glimpse. I put a little glimpse that I got sent by the designer. I put that on the Instagram.
Also, it's out there. That's right.
So if everyone wants to see them, it's on there.
At The Last Round 12 on Twitter, Instagram, all over the place. At The Last Round 12. Whether you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever. We appreciate it. Thanks for listening to these shows, man. This helps. I think we're doing okay.
We've got a decent following in, 20 shows now?
Yeah, it's helping. So
social media, both of them, the Instagram and the Twitter, keep growing each week. When you look at them compared to shows of our similar size, we have a similar following.
Yeah, so, I like it. We're going slowly but surely, but we're doing it.
With the bad weather, over here and in the UK at the minute, if anyone gets a chance, just jump onto the iTunes. If that's how you listen, give the show a quick review. Anything that we get on there.
Help us out with those reviews, man.
Just gets us more exposure. Moves us up the charts into the top 40, top 10, top 3, stuff like that. So
we want to be top 1.
Exactly. It only takes 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Only takes 2 minutes. But thanks again for listening to episode 20, TLR 20. This is The Last Round.
Thanks for supporting and listening to the show. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. Rate, review, and subscribe.